Okay, everyone, welcome back. We're on a roll. We're on to lesson number 6, speaking about location and answering the question where. This is a nice lesson if you like culture because we're going to learn some cultural stuff here. This will be more about, I think we might find out more about culture than about the Russian language in this lesson, but or maybe geography, but let's find out. Listen to the dialogue and drag the phrases to put them in the correct order. Let's go ahead and take a look at the phrases. So we can probably already get an idea before we even listen to the dialogue. You know what? Before I even listen to the dialogue, let's take a look at these because we can probably get an idea of how they're supposed to be ordered just based on the order. So спасибо means thank you. Вот прямо и справа means kind of like here goes straight and then to the right. Ни за что is a polite way of saying you're welcome after somebody says thank you. So after somebody says спасибо, thank you, typically you say пожалуйста, but a somewhat a little bit more polite perhaps or a little bit more fancy way of saying you're welcome is ни за что. And then this says извините, пожалуйста, excuse me please, вы не знаете, где метро парк культуры? Excuse me, please, do you know where's the metro station, Park Kultury, park of culture or cultural park? I think without even listening to the dialogue, we can just guess the order that these are in. Obviously, ни за что follows, obviously, you're welcome follows thank you. And this is the guy's question, and so probably the other guy answers the question first. So I'm going to guess, this is just a wild guess, but let's say that maybe the question comes first, then the guy answers the question, then the first guy says, okay, thank you, and then finally the second guy says, you're welcome. What do you know? Who would have thought? We got it right without even listening to the audio. I mean, that was pretty easy. Okay, let's listen to the audio anyway, but I mean, that was fairly easy compared to some of the stuff we've already seen.
Извините, пожалуйста, вы не знаете, где метро Парк культуры?
Вот, прямо и справа.
Спасибо.
Не за что.
I noticed the pronunciation of this word here was a bit... Unless I'm terribly mistaken, I'm quite sure that you don't say пожалуйста. If you listen to the guy's pronunciation when he says the second word пожалуйста.
Извините, пожалуйста.
He says пожалуйста. Far be it from me to question the pronunciation of what is probably a native Russian speaker, but I'm pretty sure that you don't normally say пожалуйста. I know there is this uy kind of here in the middle, but Russians don't usually pronounce that. They usually say пожалуйста. That is the going pronunciation in everyday Russian usage. It's unusual that you'd actually hear somebody pronounce this in the middle and say пожалуйста. Okay, moving on. Okay, here we have another dialogue where we have to fill in the blanks. This symbol, if you've never seen this symbol before, this is usually a pharmacy. Actually, is that what's going on here? Actually, that might not be what's going on here. Actually, the colors are usually inverted. Usually a green cross means a pharmacy in Europe. It's not a convention I've seen very much in the Americas, if at all, but in Europe, a green cross is generally understood to mean a pharmacy or apothecary, drugstore. But I think the colors here are wrong because this is actually a white cross on a green background, which probably means something different. Anyway, let's go ahead and listen to the dialogue and see what words we have to fill in. Okay. We can probably fill this in again without too much trouble. Let's take a listen.
Алло, привет. Ты где?
Okay, so hello, hi, where are you?
Привет, я в центре на Арбате.
Okay, that went pretty fast, but if I'm not mistaken, he said я в центре на Арбате. I'm in the center on Arbatia is one of the most famous streets in Moscow. If you think of something like the Champs-Élysées in Paris, or I don't know, something like what's an equivalent in some other city? I don't know. Every city has some really big, famous main drag that it's kind of well known for, right? So in Moscow, that's Arbatia. That's like a big, famous street in the center of Moscow.
Я тоже здесь. Я в аптеке.
Okay, I was right. I'm also there. I'm in the apteki. Apteki is Russian for drugstore, so that is supposed to be a drugstore. So, okay, so he's in the drugstore.
А ты где конкретно?
I like how in Russian they say concrete, just the same as in English. And you are where concretely? Where are you exactly?
В кафе Руссо Туристо.
Okay, let's see. В кафе Russo Turisto, in the cafe called Russian Tourist or something like that. Okay, well anyway, pretty sure that's what he said.
Где это?
Where is that?
Смотри, справа магазин сувениры, а слева театр драма.
Whoa. Okay, that was that went a bit fast, but I think he said взяли справа, а слева театр драма. So there's a theater called Drama, and then I'm in the зале справа to the right. I think зале is room.
Так, вот магазин и кафе.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so there's a magazine. Magazine is a shop or a store, and a cafe.
Я в зале справа, там не курят.
Oh, sorry. This went here. Я в зале справа, and then там не курят. Okay. Не курят. Not smoking.
Я тебя вижу.
Okay. Sorry, I must have missed something here. Okay, magazine souvenir. Okay. Okay, I got a bit mixed up there, but that was the correct. So, so look, to the right is the store Souvenir, and to the left is the theater Drama. Yes, there's a shop and a cafe. Yeah, I'm in the room on the right. Tam ne kuryat. What is tam ne kuryat? Let me see if I can translate this phrase because I'm not quite grasping what is supposed to. It sounds like no smoking because in Russian no smoking is не курить, but I think I may be going wrong with that. So let's just quickly check here. Huh? No, it does mean there's no smoking there. So I guess he's saying, maybe he's explaining, I'm in the room on the right because there's no smoking there. And then я тебя вижу, I see you. So two guys looking for each other and locating each other by landmarks in the city. All right, here we have another dialogue, and this one also seems this seems also pretty reasonable. Again, we're talking about location, so let's have a listen.
Привет, ты где?
Okay, привет, ты где? Very often, very common opening to a conversation. Hi, where are you? So, привет, ты где? Hi, where are you?
Дома. А ты?
At home, and you?
На работе.
На работе? Oh, that's a bummer. She's at work. Or maybe it's not a bummer. Maybe she enjoys her work, but the way she said it sounds like she's kind of down about it, like, на работе.
Ты как?
Ты как? And you are how, or how are you?
Нормально. Фильм смотрю.
Normal, watching a movie. Film смотрю. Film, look at. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but if you ever ask a Russian how they are, they will almost always answer нормально, normal. Russians are never doing great or doing well or feeling fine or happy. They're just normal. This is an example of typical understatement in Russian. If you've ever met some Nordic people, like especially people from Finland, you might have some idea of something similar. That nothing is, it's never a happy day or a time for celebration. It's just, yes, today is a day and I am alive on this day.
Что делаешь вечером?
Что делаешь вечером? What are you doing tonight? Okay, this conversation seems to be becoming increasingly flirty.
Ничего. А ты?
Nothing, and you?
Тоже ничего.
Oh, also nothing.
Встретимся?
Let's open the vocabulary and see if that word is in the vocabulary. I can guess from... No, of course not. I can guess from context what they are probably talking about, but I'd like to give a reasonably accurate translation as to what встретимся is. So let me quickly just try to... Okay, yes. So it basically says, want to meet up? Will we meet up? Okay.
Окей. Где?
Где? Okay, where? На Китай-город. Okay, well, I'll let him say it.
На Китай-городе в 19:15.
Okay. So on Chinatown. Gorod is like a city or a town. So literally, yeah, on Chinatown. And then the time is given with in. So in 1915. And the woman finally answers.
Хорошо.
Okay. She is also, they're both pretty understated. She's at work, and if they meet at this time at that place, then that's okay. Two very phlegmatic people going to meet each other. Okay. There's no exercise here. This is actually just kind of a gallery, but let's go ahead and, I mean, you can watch this on your own, but let's go ahead and quickly have a listen.
Это Красная площадь. Это центр Москвы. Прямо Кремль.
Okay. So they were saying this is a beautiful street in the center of Moscow, and to the right there is the Kreml, which is Russian for the Kremlin. I believe this is mausoleum. You know how they have Lenin's tomb there, Lenin's mausoleum there at the Kremlin. So that's what they're talking about.
И Мавзолей.
Yeah, mausoleum. Lenin's mausoleum or Lenin's tomb.
Справа исторический музей. Слева
So to the right is the Исторический музей, the historical museum.
собор Василия Блаженного.
To the left was Собор Василия Блаженного, the cathedral of St. Basil's Cathedral, that famous cathedral in Moscow, which is next to the Kremlin.
А это ГУМ. Главный универсальный магазин.
Yes. And so finally she says, and this is the GUM, the G-U-M. It has nothing to do with chewing gum. It is, she said what it stands for. It stands for Glavny Universalny Magazin, literally the main universal store. I don't know how often this term is used in Russian today. At least I don't think I heard it when I was in St. Petersburg, but in St. Petersburg they have Gostiny Dvor, which is a very specific shopping mall that most people shop at in the center. Maybe in Moscow you hear about the GUM, but it's an abbreviation which is a holdover from Soviet times, which literally stands for Main Universal Store, so like what people today would just call a supermarket or maybe even a hypermarket, although I think when you look at most Russian stores, you wouldn't think of them as hypermarkets, but something along those lines, something like that concept. And now we have to match these words with the pictures that we've just seen. That should be fairly straightforward. This is the Исторический музей, historical museum. This is St. Basil's Cathedral. Actually, this on the left is St. Basil's Cathedral, and then on the right of the picture is one of the towers of the Kremlin. I'm going to guess that they want to indicate the St. Basil's Cathedral, even though it's a bit confusing because... Okay, anyway. And then this is the GUM, that big gray building. And then this is the Kremlin and the mausoleum. Okay. Okay. Now, where are these things? What's on the right and what's on the left? So, sprava means on the right, slieva means on the left. Not sure how to visually represent these. I did once see a cute little comic in Russian, like a one-panel comic strip, where there was a lion on the left side of the picture, and then on the right side was, I think, a mouse or some other creature like that. And the mouse said, please live. And the joke there was he was saying you're on the left, but live is also Russian for lion, and so it was kind of double meaning because the lion was on the left, so it could be interpreted as saying you're a lion or you are on the left. Both are correct. And then the lion replied, "Ты справа," which means both you're on the right and you are right. Just as in Russian, this word sprava kind of has the same double meaning as the English word right. It can mean the direction right, or it can mean correct. So again, it was kind of a double meaning because the line was saying both you're on the right, and he was also saying and you're correct. So I don't know if that helps at all, if you can kind of visualize that in your mind, or maybe draw a lion on the left-hand side and say, yeah, the lion is on the left. Again, don't know if that makes it any clearer or not, but you can try it. Okay, moving along. So we need to decide what's on the left and what's on the right. Well, these buildings are helpfully labeled, which is nice because otherwise it might be pretty hard for some of these. So let's see, like the muzei. Okay, the muzei is sleva. It is on the left. So down here we have sleva and sprava. So muzei is sleva. It's on the left. Restoran, this black building, is also on the left. Aptieka, and I did mention that the green cross is a symbol of an apothecary or a drugstore, so although we don't specifically see the label aptieka, we can gather from the green cross that that is an aptieka, and it's also on the left. Magazine Podarki, the store. Podarki, here we go, Podarki. Which I think is like gifts because it has a picture of a gift on it. That is also on the left. Theater. Theater, the theater, is here on the right with those two masks of comedy and tragedy, the classical symbol of the theater. Magazine Souvenir, souvenir store, that is here on the right with a little pink bag hanging from it. Bank, that is also on the right here. Business Center. Ever get the feeling those Russians were running out of words? Yes, the Business Center is on the right. Kinotheater. So theater is usually like a normal live action theater with live actors, and then a cinema where films are played is a kinotheater. And then finally the cafe is on the right. Okay, good, everything correct. Okay, that was fairly straightforward. And here, okay, there's no audio for this. We just see a picture and some text, and we have to guess where he lives. I think there should be no comma there, but all right. I guess they put the comma there because in Russian it's correct to put the comma here, but in English you wouldn't. You would just say guess where he lives without the comma in between. Anyway, so we just have some text in Russian and we have to guess where this guy lives. So, я живу в квартире. Okay, I live in a room. That is the answer, I guess. He lives in a room. Квартира в доме, a room in a house, or in a house. Дом на улице, a house on a street. Улица в городе, a street in a city. Город на море, okay, a city on the sea. Море на юге, юге в России. Okay, a sea in the south, south of Russia, or south in Russia. And I guess we have the choice of just 3 cities here. So there's the city of Vladivostok, there's the city of Sochi, and there's the city of St. Petersburg, St. Petersburg. If you don't know the geography of Russia very well, you can scroll down here, and there is a helpful little map of Russia here. And the geography here is a bit funny because you can see the vast, vast majority of Russia is split up into the Sever, the north, and the Vostok, the east. Here, quite small is the Yug, the south, and very small, consisting of mainly like this very small part of Russia, and then Kaliningrad is Zapad, the western part. Kaliningrad used to be Königsberg. This was actually a German city, one of the most important German cities. In World War II, it was taken over by the Soviet Union and remains with Russia to this day. And now it's called Kaliningrad. But this was historically Königsberg, one of the most important German cities. Among others, it was the city of Immanuel Kant, one of the greatest German philosophers. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot going on in Western Russia. Okay, you have the city of Pskov, and that's pretty much it. And then in the Yug, in the south, you have Rostov-na-Donu is kind of an important city. Yeah, Krasnodar and Voronezh. Sochi is mostly notable, I think. Most of you may remember Sochi as the city where the Olympics were hosted in Russia. So Sochi is an important city in Russia, particularly for that reason, because it was the site of the Olympics just a few years ago. So what were the choices again? We can choose Vladivostok, Sochi, or St. Petersburg. Well, St. Petersburg is here in the north. It's actually one of the most northerly Russian cities. I think Murmansk is the only important city that's farther north than that. So it's definitely not St. Petersburg. Vladivostok is, not surprisingly, in the Vostok. It's in the west, so it's actually way over here on this peninsula here. And so the only option left then is Sochi. And yeah, so he must live in Sochi if it's in the south. Okay, and that was correct. I guess we could have just gotten this by trial and error because there are only 3 options. We could have just randomly clicked on these until we got the right answer, but it's nice to do it properly, isn't it? So yeah, here we have the 4 cardinal compass directions: na severie in the north, na vostokie in the east, na zapadie in the west, and na yugie in the south. Okay. Oh, I see. I see what they're doing. They're not stating that these cities are necessarily in Western Russia. They're saying you are in Moscow, and then where are these cities? So basically, where are these cities relative to where you are? So if you're in Moscow, and you'd say, where is St. Petersburg relative to where you are, then you would say, na severie, to the north of where I am. Okay, I get it. I think, I'm not sure if, yeah, the way the map looks is a bit funny. I guess it has to do with map projections because, a lot of this area here is quite far to the north, and most map projections create a lot of distortion towards the polar regions. On most maps, you'll see St. Petersburg quite significantly to the west of Moscow, but this shows St. Petersburg slightly to the east of Moscow, so almost directly north, but slightly to the east of Moscow. I'm actually not sure what is the truth in reality, because if you look at a map, if you look at almost any map of Russia or any map of the world, it will almost certainly show St. Petersburg as being west of Russia. So I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure if that's just distortion caused by the projections that people tend to use, or if this is actually a more true-to-life projection that really shows Russia as it is. Russian projections of Russia tend to look weird to Westerners because since they don't use a worldwide projection, they're just using a projection of Russia. The northern part here really does look quite different. It really does look quite distorted compared. I mean, here the position of the Kola Peninsula looks really strange compared to what you'd see on most world maps. But anyway. So, group the cities according to their geographical places. Imagine you are in Moscow. So, Moskva is then, well, I guess in the center, right? I mean, yeah, Moskva is в центре because it's where I am. It's in the center of the locations relative to. Okay, and then we just sort I mean, this is pretty straightforward. You can see on the map where the cities are, so you just organize the cities based on the map. So, St. Petersburg is then na severie in the north. Yekaterinburg is here in the south, yeah, Yekaterinburg. I mean, most of these cities would be considered as being in the east, but according to this map, Yekaterinburg is in the south, so okay, that's fine. Vladivostok is, well, yeah, it's in the east, so Novostoky. Murmansk is definitely in the north. I think Murmansk is the northerliest city in the world with more than 100 people. So Murmansk is definitely a northerly city. Even by Russian standards, it's very northern. Sochi is in the south. Magadan. Where is Magadan? Here we are. It's all the way there on the east, almost in Chukcha territory, looks like. So Magadan is in the north. Nasiveri. Krasnodar is here. It's also in the south, close to Sochi. Kaliningrad, as I mentioned, the former Königsberg. It's sort of an exclave there of Russia, just north of Poland and between Poland and Lithuania, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's in the west. Na Zapadye. Voronezh is also here in the south. Samara is here in the east, Novostoky. Nizhny Novgorod is also here in the east. Norilsk, there in the north. Norilsk is a kind of a notorious city in Russia. It's also very far to the north, very cold, extremely harsh weather throughout the year, and it's also quite polluted because its main claim to fame, the main reason why it's an important city, is because there is a huge mining operation there, and the pollution produced by that mining operation is insane. I've met people from Norilsk, and they say it's really it's I don't want to insult anyone who's from Norilsk, and I've never been there myself personally, but everything that I've heard about it suggests that it's really a hell on earth because the weather is nightmarish. And the environment is this sort of industrial, polluted industrial wasteland. So, yeah, Norilsk is an interesting place. You hear interesting stories about there and advice to not go there. Anyway, Norilsk is na severe. Syktyvkar is here we are. It's also in the north. Rostov-na-Donu is supposed to be a nice city. I've never been there myself, but I'm told it is a very nice city. It is in the south on this sort of peninsula, along with Sochi and those other cities. Novosibirsk is allegedly a nice Siberian city. Literally it means New Siberia, but it's not all of Siberia. It's just a city. But Novosibirsk, New Siberia, is in the east, and I've also not been there, but I've been told it's actually quite a surprisingly nice city considering its isolation. Saratov is here. It's this map places it in the Vostok. Salihard. That does not sound like a Russian name. That sounds like a foreign name which was Russified. But I could be wrong. But anyway, Salihard is here in the east. Krasnoyarsk, which literally means red, like a reddish place, is here in the east. Pskov, we mentioned it's this city here in the west. Chelyabinsk is here close to Yekaterinburg in the east. Oymyakon. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, sorry, but that's here in the north. This map places it in the north. Irkutsk is here in the east, another Siberian city. And finally, Khabarovsk is up here in the same kind of far eastern area with Vladivostok. And hold on, what did I get wrong? This is telling me that I got something wrong. How is that possible? How could I have gotten something wrong? Oh, wait, Yekaterinburg. Why did he put Yekaterinburg in the south? Yeah, south, the so-called south is here. Yekaterinburg is positioned here in the east. So I should put this in the east. Okay, there we go. Now we get lesson completed. Okay, so this was the correct ordering of things. And they're still red because, does it not? It's kind of annoying. It should turn them from red to blue since they're correct now, but I guess because I made a mistake, maybe that's a glitch in the site. I'm not sure about that. If I come back here, if I go back up here to lessons and look at lesson number 6. Okay, they're blue now. So okay, so this is the correct ordering of things. This is at least according to the map, if you're in Moscow, according to the map, then this is the relative location of these cities and this stuff to Moscow. So now you know. So like I said, interesting lesson. I think we learned more about Russian geography and culture than we did about the Russian language. Among other things, you now know what a gum is. But still, it's nice. I mean, culture and history and geography and such things are bound up with language. Language is intimately tied together with these things, and language influences culture and vice versa. So it's good to, if you're learning Russian, it's good to get a sense of the country and its breadth, as well as the technicalities of the language and its grammar and so on. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. Hope that this was an interesting little look into Russia, and hopefully we will see each other next time for lesson number 7 as we continue learning Russian with Learn Russian. I'll talk to you folks then. Until then, bye-bye for now.